is a silence beneath all the noise, a quiet, persistent hum that pulses beneath our modern lives, like the low, slow heartbeat of something ancient and unseen. You may not notice it at first. It's the breath between your thoughts, the pause when you forget what you were doing, the strange fatigue that shadows your triumphs. And yet, if you are still long enough, honest enough, curious enough to look beneath the surface of your life, you'll feel it. A subtle siphoning, a quiet erosion, not of your money, not of your time, but of something far more sacred, your life force. This is not a metaphor for stress or distraction, though it wears their masks. It is not merely about your job, your screen time, your relationships, or the fatigue you chalk up to age or workload. It is something deeper, cosmic even. What is being taken is the raw, unfiltered essence of you. The electricity behind your gaze, the fire in your dreams, the glow in your presence. What's being stolen is your energy, not in the nutritional sense, not even in the psychological sense, but in the ancient, primal, spiritual sense. And in its place, a hollow version of you continues onward, automated, half awake, spiritually exiled from your own soul. We have become a species wrapped in invisible wires, each one subtly pulling our attention away from the inner sanctuary and toward the manufactured desires of a world engineered to drain us. Scroll, swipe, fear, compare, react, conform. These are not neutral behaviors. They are rituals in an unholy liturgy designed to sedate our awareness, sap our will, and tether our spirits to an energy grid we never consciously agreed to feed. But who or what is doing the stealing? The answer is not simple, and it is not merely one thing. The culprits wear many faces. An economy built on your constant dissatisfaction, an attention economy that thrives on your reactivity, institutions that require your obedience, belief systems that chain your imagination, even parasitic energies that thrive in unseen dimensions of thought and feeling. Whether you call them psychological patterns, societal constructs, interdimensional forces, or simply lies, we are speaking of the same theft. The theft of essence, of soul fire, of your sacred voltage. This is not meant to induce fear, but recognition, for you cannot protect what you do not realize is being taken. You cannot reclaim what you have not first named. And so this exploration, this transmission, is not merely intellectual. It is an invocation, a remembering, a call to awaken not just from the surface level trance of distraction, but from the deeper enchantment that has made you believe your energy belongs to anything or anyone but you. Imagine your life force as a river, pure silver, ever flowing from the mountain spring of your divine origin. When it flows freely, it nourishes your body, your vision, your voice. You are clear, you are vital, you are aligned. But in this world, the river is dammed, diverted, polluted by hidden engineers who build silent systems of drain and distraction. They do not come with chains. They come with entertainment. They come with validation. They come with fear dressed as urgency, convenience dressed as progress. And we, unknowingly, give our consent. But energy, like sovereignty, can be reclaimed. And once you begin to see, truly see, the nature of the theft, you begin to unhook yourself from its mechanisms. You become less feed, more flame, less porn, more presence. You begin to pull your soul fragments back from all the places they were scattered, into timelines you never chose, into relationships that siphoned you, into ideologies that dimmed you, into fears that disfigured you, you begin to call your energy home. And so this journey will not be a simple one, nor should it be. To protect your energy is not to build walls around your life, but to become so sovereign, so luminous, that the parasitic systems can no longer feed on your unconscious consent. It is to become once again a conscious custodian of your life force, a guardian of your inner temple. We will walk through the core patterns that have been set up to leech from you without your knowing. We will trace their symbols, decode their disguises. We will weave stories that illuminate the ancient and hidden war for your energy. And we will root everything in the soil of this real breathing world, so that this isn't just another layer of information, but an initiation into remembrance. Because the truth is not new, it is ancient, and it has always whispered the same thing. You were not made to be a battery. You were made to be a star. To truly understand how your energy is stolen, you must first come to terms with what your energy is. Not the shallow sense of feeling tired or rested, but the deeper current, the animating force of being itself. It is the spark behind your intentions, the magnetism of your spirit, the field of vibration that either draws life toward you or repels it in confusion. Energy is not just within you, it is you. It is what you bring into a room before you speak, what ripples out from your heart when you feel deeply, what shapes the fabric of your reality, whether you are aware of it or not. And so, the theft of energy is not merely theft of vitality, it is theft of agency, clarity, creation. The systems that steal your life force are not concerned with you as a person. They are concerned with you as a source. They feed on your unconsciousness, on the fractured attention you scatter throughout the day, on the emotional charges you release through anger, envy, fear, or unprocessed grief. In essence, these systems don't rob you by storming your gates. They make you forget you ever had gates. One of the primary illusions we face in this world is that energy loss is accidental or incidental, caused by life itself. But look closer. Notice how the world teaches you to fragment your consciousness into 1,000 pieces. Algorithms designed to capture your curiosity don't just want your clicks, they want the current of your attention. Corporations craft identities for you to adopt, not because they care who you are, but because identity confusion makes you easier to manipulate. Institutions of power, political, religious, cultural, often whisper a subtle message. Outsource your knowing, outsource your purpose, outsource your authority. In other words, disconnect from the source within you. When you disconnect from source, you become a socket, open, empty, and seeking something to plug into. You begin to anchor yourself in what is external. Recognition, consumption, roles, ideologies. These things give the illusion of energy, but only recycle it, much like eating sugar when you need nourishment. You are filled but not fed. What's essential to recognize is that the theft of energy operates on multiple planes simultaneously. On the physical plane, it looks like fatigue, tension, chronic burnout. On the emotional plane, it looks like loops of resentment, comparison, guilt, and shame. On the mental plane, it's endless distraction, fragmented focus, intrusive narratives that feel like yours but were installed by someone else. And on the spiritual plane, it is a kind of amnesia, the loss of remembrance that you are not a machine, not a role, not a number in a system, but an emanation of divine intelligence. These layers don't act in isolation. They are woven together like a net. And you, the shining presence behind the eyes, are the fish. But there's a mother illusion that must be dispelled. The idea that you are weak for being caught in the net, that you are somehow foolish for having lost touch with your energy. No. You were trained to forget, conditioned, programmed. The theft of energy is not your failure. It is the hidden agenda of a reality designed to harvest light. Even language is part of the theft. We are taught to speak in terms of survival, not vitality. To speak of productivity instead of presence. To measure our worth in achievements rather than alignment. These aren't just semantics, they are spells. And you cast them every time you say, "I'm just trying to make it through the day," instead of, "I am reclaiming the fire in my soul." And then there is trauma, personal, ancestral, collective. This, too, becomes a siphon. Trauma traps energy in frozen loops. It creates pockets in your field where external forces can anchor themselves. You've seen it, perhaps, in moments where your reaction to a small trigger felt disproportionate. Like someone reached in and yanked a wound you forgot was still bleeding. In those moments, your energy is not just reacting, it's leaking. To heal trauma, therefore, is not just about feeling better. It is about sealing the breaches in your energy field. It is about calling your spirit back to the throne of your being. There is a reason so many ancient traditions spoke of aura, chi, prana, mana, vital force. These are not mythologies, they are maps. Maps of the unseen architecture of the human soul. An architecture that, when intact, makes you immune to the theft. Not because the world no longer tries to steal your energy, but because you no longer give it away unconsciously. You become a sovereign field. You become a living flame that feeds only what is sacred. And so the work begins, not in rage or fear, but in deep recognition. You begin to notice the places where your energy drips away, through old patterns, toxic entanglements, distorted beliefs. You begin to sense when your field is being drained, and instead of blaming yourself or the world, you pause, you breathe, you reclaim. This is not simply protection, it is remembrance. And remembrance is the first act of liberation. In the beginning, before words wrapped themselves around the raw mystery of existence, stories were not distractions. They were bridges, vessel of transmission between the seen and the unseen, between the heart of humanity and the rhythm of the cosmos. And so, if we are to grasp the deeper currents beneath this great energy theft, we must return, not to facts, but to symbols, not to answers, but to stories. Imagine a kingdom woven into the belly of a mountain lit not by torches, but by the luminous pulse of its people. Their very presence radiated light, each soul a living flame dancing in sovereign brilliance. In this kingdom, energy was not mined, taxed, or traded. It simply was. Each citizen lived in harmony with their essence, knowing when to give, when to rest, when to create, and when to simply be. But legends speak of the arrival of the shadow architects, beings who had forgotten their own light and thus desired to feed on the light of others. They could not take by force, for force only dims energy. Instead, they whispered, they seduced, they sowed stories of lack, of hierarchy, of salvation found not within, but in the hands of external power. And so they built altars, not of stone, but of distraction. They offered gifts, pleasure without presence, knowledge without wisdom, connection without depth. Over time, the luminous citizens dimmed. Not all at once, but gradually, the more they leaned into these artificial lights, the more they forgot their inner sun. Their eyes adjusted to the shadows, and they began to call it reality. And the architects, they harvested, not crops or gold, but attention, emotion, belief. They feasted not on flesh, but on the unconscious agreement to stay small. This tale may feel like fantasy, but it is an allegory for a truth etched into the very fabric of our world. Look around. Every glowing screen, every hyper-stimulated feed, every fragment of news that feeds your fear while offering no true resolution. These are the altars. Every time you trade presence for reaction, depth for spectacle, knowing for obedience, you feed the architects. Another story comes from a forgotten forest, where a phoenix once nested in the tallest tree. It was said her flames could heal the dying and awaken the sleeping. But hunters, craving her light but not her truth, plotted to capture her. They crafted mirrors and hung them through the forest, perfect reflections of fire, but empty of warmth. The phoenix, seeing her likeness multiplied and distorted, flew into confusion. She split herself trying to retrieve her reflection, scattering fragments of her being across the forest. That forest is the modern mind. The phoenix is you. We are born whole, radiant. But from the moment we open our eyes, the mirrors begin to multiply. Who we're supposed to be, what success should look like, how love should behave, what dreams are worth chasing. We see ourselves everywhere but within. We scatter our spirit trying to match a reflection that never truly belonged to us. These symbolic narratives are not just poetic ornaments, they are maps. They show us how energy is lost, through seduction into imitation, through amnesia of our own essence, through manipulation of archetypes we don't realize we're playing out. And they show us how it can be reclaimed. By turning inward, by recognizing the mirror as illusion, by calling back the phoenix flames that were never truly gone, only forgotten. One final tale, ancient and strange, speaks of a garden that exists outside of time. In this garden, every human soul is born holding a lantern. This lantern burns only when fed with truth, presence, and alignment. But the world outside the garden is harsh, filled with winds that whisper lies so sweet, so plausible, that many choose to dim their light just to fit into the shadows. Some bury the lantern, others forget they ever held it. But the garden remembers, and sometimes, when the soul is ready, a wind not of deception, but of memory returns, blows softly on the buried flame. If you've read this far, you are feeling that wind. You know deep in the marrow of your soul that you were not meant to live a half-lit life. You were not meant to be a battery for other people's visions, a pawn in stories not written by your spirit. You were meant to burn, clean, bright, whole. The stories that drain you are many. The martyr, the people pleaser, the overachiever, the lone wolf, the cynic. But these are not your essence. They are roles you learn to play in order to survive in an energy-hungry world. To exit this play, you do not need to destroy the stage. You simply need to remember the script you came with. So let the metaphors settle in your bones. Let the phoenix rise. Let the mountain kingdom rebuild itself in your heart. Let the garden call you back into presence. Because these are not just stories, they are reflections of what you are beneath the programming. They are living reminders that you do not belong to the grid of theft, but to the current of truth. Now the question emerges, like dawn breaking over a long night. What do I do with this knowing? What use is myth, metaphor, and memory, unless it finds root in the soil of your daily life? If energy is stolen in subtle currents, then protection too must begin in the unseen spaces. Those in between moments, those silent agreements, those micro rituals you repeat without realizing they shape the architecture of your soul. This is not about abandoning the world. It is about no longer being abandoned to it. You don't need to retreat to mountaintops or monasteries to reclaim your energy. The battlefield is here, in the scrolling thumb, the distracted conversation, the self-doubt whispered quietly as you look in the mirror. These are the spaces where you either leak or protect your essence. The sacred is not elsewhere. It is everywhere, especially where you've been taught to forget it. Begin here, with attention. Attention is your currency. It is the purest expression of your will. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your energy to. Not in metaphor, but in real measurable fields. When you focus on something, you are literally directing the life force that animates your body toward it. Most of the world is designed to hijack that attention, to pull you into loops of fear, novelty, outrage, and shallow validation. The greatest act of rebellion is to choose where your attention goes. So start watching yourself. Notice how you scroll. Not just what you look at, but how you feel as you do. Is your energy rising or draining? Are you more whole or more fractured when you stop? This act alone, this gentle awareness, is like installing shields over open windows in your field. Every moment of awareness closes a portal that once leaked your light. From attention, move to boundaries. Not the harsh, brittle kind built from fear, but the luminous kind woven from clarity. Energetic boundaries are not lines drawn in sand. They are the quiet, sovereign declarations you make about what can and cannot feed on your energy. You set these not by force, but by frequency. You don't need to fight the takers. You need only stop offering your essence where it is not honored. This means saying no, not just to people or tasks, but to identities, roles, and narratives that drain you. There is an ancient strength in letting go of roles you never chose. The caretaker who always sacrifices. The achiever who never rests. The warrior who cannot feel. The spiritual seeker who uses philosophy to escape emotion. These roles may have protected you once, but now they are hungry ghosts, devouring your vitality to keep themselves alive. To protect your energy is to disrobe these ghosts, not with violence, but with compassion. You say, "Thank you for your service, but I choose wholeness now." And then comes presence. Presence is not a trendy virtue. It is the sword that severs illusion. It is the state where energy leaks cannot exist, because you are fully home in yourself. In presence, you are no longer fractured across time, haunted by past, chasing futures. You are one. When you bring this quality even to the smallest act, washing dishes, driving your car, holding a friend's gaze, you begin to draw back scattered fragments of your soul. You begin to glow again. But perhaps the most potent act of energy reclamation is self-remembrance. Not just remembering who you are in an abstract sense, but feeling the truth of your original design in your body. This can happen in silence, in breath, in movement, in prayer, in creativity, in nature. You must find your portals. Find the moments when your chest opens, your skin tingles, your thoughts quiet, and your being expands. These are not coincidences. They are invitations. Accept them. Real-world integration also requires the courage to disappoint the expectations that were never yours. You must be willing to leave the conversations that dull you, the commitments that suffocate you, the ideologies that hollow you. It will feel like rebellion at first. And it is. But not against others, against the version of you that was built to survive the theft. You do not owe your life force to the machinery of a world addicted to your exhaustion. Instead, you begin to live from overflow, not depletion, from clarity, not compulsion. You choose not to react, but to respond, to speak only when your voice rises from alignment, to act only when your soul is ready to move. This is not laziness. It is precision, sacred precision. There are no perfect methods, no universal mantras. What protects your energy will be as unique as your fingerprint. For some, it may be sacred space in the morning. For others, time in silence, movement, breathwork, sound, ritual. What matters is not the form, but that you begin to treat your energy as sacred. Not someday, now. And yes, you will fall. You will forget. You will scroll too long, say yes too quickly, give when you should have withheld. That's okay. Protection is not about perfection. It is about practice. Every time you return to yourself, you deepen the groove of sovereignty in your nervous system. You become less programmable, less feedable, more you. This is how it happens. Not through dramatic breakthroughs, but through the steady dismantling of unconscious agreements. One breath at a time. One no at a time. One remembered truth at a time. Now we arrive at the threshold, the place between all you've seen and all you will now become. You've journeyed through the veil, through the hushed corridors of myths and memory, through the architecture of attention and the sacred rebellion of presence. And in doing so, something ancient within you has stirred. A whisper rising from beneath the debris of your days, saying, "You were never meant to forget. You were never meant to dim. You were never meant to be consumed. You are not here to merely survive the world. You are here to transfigure it. They may try to steal your life force, yes, but only if you leave it unguarded. Only if you forget that your very being is a temple not of stone, but of vibration, woven not with dogma, but with light. And so the work ahead is not about waging war on the systems of theft. That is not your true power. Your power is found in what you refuse to abandon within yourself. Your power is your remembering. There is a quiet kind of radiance that begins to shine through those who reclaim their energy. You've seen it before, even if you didn't have a name for it. The person who walks into a room and shifts it without speaking. The elder whose silence soothes the air like medicine. The child whose gaze feels more ancient than time. These are not accidents. These are humans who have learned how to live in alignment with their own life force. They are not flawless. They are not always happy. But they are anchored. They do not trade the eternal for the temporary. They are not tricked by noise. They do not offer their soul in exchange for validation. And that same glow waits in you, not to be earned, but uncovered, beneath the fatigue, beneath the digital haze, beneath the layers of persona and projection and performance. The truth of you is whole, electric, indivisible. And once you commit to walking back toward that wholeness, the world begins to respond differently. People fall away, new ones arrive. Circumstances shift. The theft no longer works on you, not because the world has changed, but because you have. This is the real alchemy, turning unconscious energy leaks into conscious energy presence, turning every mundane task into a sacred ritual of protection, turning your life into a shrine where only what nourishes you is permitted to enter. You start to hold yourself like you would something holy, because you are. So let this not be the end of a reading, but the beginning of a restoration. Close your eyes now for a moment and feel the space within your chest. Not the heart beating, but the awareness that watches it. That is your flame. That is your source. And as you move forward, let every thought, every word, every choice be a guardian at the gate of that flame. There will still be noise. There will still be fear. But you will no longer meet it as a victim. You will meet it as a sovereign presence. This is not the path of separation, but of sanctification. The world needs your light, but only when it is yours, not a borrowed flicker shaped to please or conform. Let them say you are strange. Let them say you are selfish. Let them say you are not the same. That's how you'll know you are becoming free. And finally, remember, this isn't just about you. Every time you reclaim your energy, you interrupt the chain of inheritance. You heal backwards and forwards in time. You light the way for others still tangled in the net. You become a lighthouse, not loud, but undeniable. And this world, as dark as it may seem, is always searching for its lighthouses. So shine, without apology, without explanation, without permission. They tried to steal your life force. You remembered it was never theirs to take.